Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Aaron Live. Yes, it is that time every single month where we get together and we stream live with you on Facebook all about this amazing show that we put together for you. This is our number 4 right now, so we're getting good at this thing, right? We're getting good. Are you guys loving this so far? Please let us know if you've been joining us on this journey of Aaron Live, and let us know in the comments while everyone's jumping on right now. This is live. We are streaming right around the world via Facebook for all of you amazing people as well. So I love putting this show together, this Aaron Live. So if you're joining us for the first time, get ready, because we're going to be here for an action-packed hour together for Aaron Live. So let's get into this month's show of Aaron Live. Here we are, we're back, and we're ready to rock and roll here with Aaron Live. We are live, streaming across Facebook, running this amazing show we love to do. And I love it because I get to take some time out in my day and in my month to be able to sit down and go over what's been happening in the business news and everything else we're going to be covering off. So if it's the first time you're joining us, I've had the privilege now of being in business now for 15 years and growing a global empire. And for the last 11 years, I've been helping businesses right around the world, 22 countries, 53,000 people last year I was in front of. That's a lot of people. And we've had our programs now in 41 countries, but I've been training in 22 countries live. Everything from sales to marketing to branding to leadership to growing businesses and empires. And I'm so excited to be able to just share this with everyone right around the world, to be able to help you to be able to live by design and not live by default in your personal life, or as a business owner or as a startup, or just thinking about getting into business. My goal is to give you everything I can here over the Aaron Live show as well. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this next bit of time we've got together. And make sure, by the way, we always have some fun along this time. Last time we gave away money, books, a whole bunch of different stuff as well that we gave away over the show as well. So make sure you guys are tagging your friends in that should be doing this. And do us a favor, if you're loving this thing, click the share button right now in Facebook and make sure you share this. And let's get a whole bunch of people watching this and enjoying this. And the more we do, the more we're going to keep doing this thing as well. We really enjoy doing this, so we want your support to join us as well. So click the share button now, give us a comment, say hello, because I can see your comments as well. So I want to say hello to a few of you guys. Hey Shelly, good to see you. Hey Matt, good to see you as well. So a bunch of you guys on. Make sure you say hi. We are live here in Melbourne in the studio with our creative director and our studio manager as well. These guys are both behind the scenes here. You'll hear them yell out every now and again. Won't you, Luan and Connor?
Absolutely.
He's just, they'll warm up, right, as we go. So listen, we're going to get into it. We've got a whole bunch of things ahead with you guys. We talk about businesses, we talk about the news, we talk about things that are going well, that are not going well. I'm also going to give you a few things, some mentoring live as well. I'm even going to get a chance to answer some of your questions at the end of the show. So if you've got a great question, throw it into the comments with the hashtag Aaron's Advice. And at the end of the show, I'm going to be doing some live mentoring, which I love to do as well, which is going to be excellent. So a whole bunch of things rocking and rolling for you this show. So let's kick off. The very first thing we love to speak about here at Aaron Live is it is going to be first our business news.
There you go.
There we go. Biz news, right? Top 10s at the end. Business news first. So what's happening in the world of business news? Well, there's been 1,000 things I can share with you guys, right? That's been happening in the world of business news. But one of the things I wanted to share with you, and I read a great article recently about the industry in Australia, about the music record sales industry in Australia. Now, the reason why this is pretty cool is that it's actually seen a 10% growth in sales, or in record sales, in music sales in Australia in the last 12 months. It's actually the highest since 1996, when Napster, for some of you guys that know what Napster is, came and changed the whole market by deciding to post people's music for free and change the game for everybody. But here's the interesting part. what I love about this, if you look at the statistics about the 10% growth in the Australian music industry, is that the statistics are really big when you look at how this thing's changed and evolved. And the only reason I'm here today able to say that we are in the position where we are of the growth of music sales in Australia is because they've run along with the disruption and found a way to be able to monetize the industry again after it was heavily disrupted. And one of the things that we do love is the fact that we all have Spotify on our phones, or we have all of these streaming devices and Apple devices streaming, or we're willing to pay, $1, $2, $3 for a song, is that it's ease. It's ease of use. It's people being able to be, one of the things that people talk about these days is the lazy economy. Well, this is have a resurgence in the last 22 years now back to where the record sales were before, because the technology has been created around people being able to download the music they want to, and they're prepared to pay for not having to go out of their home, or to be able to have something instantly on demand as well. So that instant, economy is coming into play here with this, which I love. But I love it because we're seeing this go back to what it should be, and now obviously artists are benefiting again from where they should be, because it's their hard-earned years gone into building their career. But here's interesting for you. Get this, right? In the 12-month change from 2016-17 to 2017-18 now, right? In the last 12 months, the change, there's been a 24% decline in digital tracks purchased, a 27% decline in digital albums that are being purchased, physical, right? This is physical purchases of these things that are going down. The physical purchase has been, just in the last year alone, has been almost a 30% decline in both those areas versus the increase in streaming. There's been a 54% increase in the 12 months alone of subscription income going to the artists as well, and video streaming is up 47%. So you can see this massive swing has been happening, but just in the last 12 months, there's still huge shifts that are happening as well. And I think it's pretty amazing to see that for the industry of music, that's obviously a great thing to see, but the disruption that they had in 1996 through Napster and all these companies that were coming in to disrupt the music market across the world, as well as in Australia, they've able to come out the other side of this with something that's making more revenue now, and it's a new model that we're prepared to pay for. So I think it's a great thing to look at and to model, and to see that you might be in a disruption phase in your business right now, or in your industry right now, but if you play the game and you play the long-term game, you can turn it around to finding something that your customers are prepared to pay for as well. I think it's a really good note to see how far the music industry has come in the last 20 odd years, and now back onto the form of making the same kind of revenues that they were 20 odd years ago. So that gets my first thing in the business news. Number two, I want to talk about a company that, for me, I gotta say, I had heard of the company, but I've never used one of the phones before. So these guys are called Xiaomi. Now it's Xiaomi, and I'm sure for my Chinese friends, I am saying this completely wrong and you're laughing at me. So if I am saying it wrong, please laugh at me in the comments. So Xiaomi is actually the 4th largest smartphone retailer in the world. Now, why am I speaking about them in the business news? Well, Xiaomi, who the founder is Li Ju, the company is now worth $100 billion, and it's about to float. They're trying to work out what stock exchange they want to actually go on to. This is a Chinese-backed company. And this company is when it floats, and if you look at the news, you look at what Lee's speaking about, it's almost a done deal. It's going to float. If this floats, this is going to be the biggest IPO in the last 4 years, and Lee will actually be worth more than my good friend. He's not my good friend, but I really like the guy, Jack Ma, who's currently the wealthiest person in China. He will be number one above him when that floats. But here's the thing I love about this. The company, right, Xiaomi, they're obviously a smartphone company. Their profit margins on their devices are between 1 and 2%. 1 and 2% is their profit margin. And that's been their strategy from the start, to be able to beat out a lot of these other guys. Apple profit margin is 151% on their handsets, whereas these guys are on a 1 or 2% strategy, because they've said, we can't compete with the big guys, so let's sell a phone much cheaper than what they're going to sell it for. They're even half the price of some of the Androids in there. And now they currently own, if I find the exact statistic for you, you, they currently own a market share in China for some of these guys is around the 8.5% mark, whereas Apple's at a 9.6% mark in China as well. So they're nipping at the toes of Apple in China through this one idea of saying, well, how can we create a cheaper device to be able to get that in people's hands because we can't compete with this. Now, here's what's really interesting. I thought this is really cool. When I started looking into what these guys are doing, and the other big players over there, like Vivo are big in China, Huawei are big in China. Did you know that the facial recognition was actually created in last year by Xiaomi? They actually created it before Apple did. The full screen was created by Xiaomi before Apple did. Wireless charging was created in 2012 by Vivo, and Huawei created the dual camera in 2016 as well. So a lot of the players are out there. People are trying to get into the smartphone market, but the reason why these guys are in a position where they are is because they knew what they were going to be. They went on lower margins, and they've created themselves to a $100 billion company. So heavily watch these guys, especially if they're going to do an IPO, but that could be the biggest IPO in the last 4 or 5 years in the world. So these guys are doing really, really well. So second thing in the business news. Third, I've had many people asking me about this on all walks of life, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about it in the segment today of the business news, is this whole trade war. I love Trump. I can't just say that I love Trump. I love that I pick up a paper and there's at least 4 articles written in this paper that have the word Trump in it on the front page, right? He just is a marketing machine, right? So he's created the trade war. To give you the skinny on this thing, right? There's a $77 billion trade war now heating up between China and the US. And I've had many of my business friends asking me, how's this going to affect their large business? And I've had some of my smaller business students asking me, well, how's it going to affect me if I'm manufacturing things in China, or if I'm creating products in China or selling into the Chinese market? Well, there's a lot of research out there. One of the things that I looked at is the PwC research that just recently came out, talking about the trade war between China and the US. And here's the nuts and bolts of it, what I believe, and some of the things that in the PwC report as well. It's not really going to affect Australia. I mean, look, there's a $77 billion war between the two. The tariffs never help anybody when it comes to business and trade, but in reality, we're a massive partner to China and China to us. So I don't see it being a big effect on the Australian economy. In fact, the IMF just yesterday upgraded Australia's forecast to 3% for this year in economic growth. So the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, these guys literally look at the economic growth of all the countries in the world, including Australia. So these guys know what they're talking about. So a lot of people are saying, well, should we not do business with China? Is it going to be changing how we should maybe look at anything manufactured there? I don't think it will, but it definitely makes the business news with this massive trade war. I just love watching these guys spar. What do you think, Connor? To spar.
I'm pretty ignorant to all of it, to be honest.
But I just love Trump. Just watching him just create stuff. There was one thing I liked. It wasn't this one. But was it the Mexican president? I think it was the Mexican president said they're not going to pay some kind of tariff. And he just goes, that's fine. I'll find some other way to charge all of your citizens to make that same money up. You can do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
I find him hilarious, but I think I'm in a position where I can find him.
Yeah, you can find, because we don't live there, right? But there you go. That is the biz news with the trade war. So next up for you guys, I want to speak to you about this little thing I call Crush It. Crushing it. Now, when I talk about crushing it, right, I talk about really when I look at the last month, I try and find companies, whether they're in Australia, whether they're in America or Europe or anywhere in the world that are kicking butt. And it was really tough because there's so many companies that are kicking ass right now, including Xiaomi, which I just spoke about. But one of the companies that really jumped out to me, and it is one of the Australians, I love to pull out the Australian businesses, Crushing It Award. And we have said we're going to have to get a Crushing It Award. So at some stage we need to get a Crushing It Award, all right? We need to get like an award to go to people, and it can't just be of me. But maybe we could send a life cut out of me. Yeah, maybe that would be good. So, Crushing It Award goes to a company that have had a 300% rise in the last quarter, a 400% rise in the 300% rise in their third quarter of their business. In the last quarter of their business, they've had a 400% rise. This company's only been listed on the ASX now for 2 years. It's almost going to air now. Its market cap is about 980 odd million in the last 2 years of business. This company has $1.4 billion of total underlying sales processed through it in the first 3 quarters of financial year 2018. And this company that gets my crushing award is none other than Afterpay. So Afterpay is a great process where obviously you can buy something now, you get it, and you can pay for it later or pay for it over an installment period of a couple of months is how they've structured this thing. Now listen, these guys now are getting 3,300 new customers every day. They're saying they currently have 1.8 million customers on their platform and growing. And this is significant change. I mean, these guys have done in the sales in the same time last year, they did $290 million worth of sales. And they've now gone up to a 1.4 billion in a 12-month period post then. So huge increase. And listen, fintech period, right? Financial technology period has been a huge growth across the world, including here in Australia. But these guys have done extremely well with their process. And there's a lot of companies out there that are vying for this market right now, this whole buy now, pay later. And they've done a really great job of doing that, and access to from even teenagers, where they've gone hot water recently as well. For some people that can access this right up into the bigger markets as well. So this kind of Afterpay market, these guys are crushing it really because of the growth that they've had within their market and the ease of use within technology as well. So these guys definitely get my crushing award. They've got hyper growth right now, which has been awesome as well. So these guys, an Australian firm, they get my Crushing It award. So well done to Afterpay. But next up, we're going to go into something amazing called the Mentor Minute, but that will be after a short break. I'll see you guys in a minute. Welcome back to our Mentor Minute. Welcome back. So if you guys are loving hanging out, I am going to be touring the country for an evening with me, 3-4 hours, jam-packed of me helping you. So if you want to come and hang out with me, we've made tickets ridiculously cheap, a couple of bucks to grab 2 tickets to come and hang out with me. So come and join me, AaronLIVE.com.au if you want to grab a ticket. I'm going to be in Brisbane, in Sydney, in Melbourne, and in Perth. Did I miss anyone, Connor? Or just Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth? Four places I'm going to be. So, okay, Mentor Minute. Now it's time for me to talk about my Mentor Minute. This is a chance where I have to be able to show you guys a couple of things that you might be able to do as business owners, as entrepreneurs. And this, what I wanted to do this time around is I really want to share with you really about what type of entrepreneur you might be. Now, before I talk about this, the reason why I want to share this with you is because when I travel the world and I get to meet a lot of people, they've got great business ideas. Some of them have business ideas is that they've got businesses already running, or they've got a business they're trying to start up. But a lot of the time, we don't spend enough time investigating who we are and how we fit into this kind of crazy world called business. And not every entrepreneur is the same, right? Not every entrepreneur is the same type of person. So I wanted to share with you over my time doing this that there's kind of 4 main types of entrepreneurs that I see that are out there. And I wanted to share those with you because I think if you understand what type of entrepreneur you are, you know the kind of business partners you want to be able to pull into your business. You know the kind of team that you want to pull into your life. And you also know how you operate. And I think that self-awareness is one of the most important things on a life journey, let alone business journey as well. So what I want to do is I want to kick into the Mentor Minute this month is all about what type of entrepreneur are you. Now, 4 types, right? Let's get into the first one. The first one, you're going to write these ones down. So if you don't know, you've got to write this down. So grab a pen, grab a paper, grab a Post-it, grab a coffee mug near you and write it on the side of it. Whatever you need to do, take these notes down as well as I go. So the first type of entrepreneur, when I look at people and I see how they operate, the first type of entrepreneur that I meet are what I call the talent. So these people are characterized by being those kind of the natural talent. So that might be the person that actually comes up with the idea, or the person that is literally the artist. Like they could be the singer, they could be the painter, they could be the musician. So someone's actually the artist talent type. That's the person who has really super high standards. They can be seeing themselves as the art. They're a real passion pursuer, which means that they're really focused on the passion behind what they do. They have very high standards of what they expect. So they expect the highest customer service standards, or they won't ship something out until it's absolutely perfect. So the talent type of entrepreneur is really the person that I see out there as an entrepreneur that has a lot of potential, but a lot of pitfalls as well, because sometimes their standards or the way they're looking for perfection gets in the way of progress. So maybe that's been you as well. You've been getting in the way of your own progress yourself. So sometimes when I meet people, I listen to their ideas and I listen to how they talk about what they want to do. I'm listening, seeing that person go, you know what, you're a talent type of entrepreneur, which will make more sense as we go along through these other 3 I want to show you. But what I want you to understand is what type of entrepreneur you are. So then you know what type of person you need to be around. I mentioned about having business partners, what type of customer you want to be able to pursue, and what kind of team you need to have around you as well. So let's put into context. If you're a talent type of entrepreneur and you're a one-man or a one-woman band, right, then you're going to have to find other people that can start doing things like marketing or sales if that's not going to be your strong suit. But if you don't have the self-awareness on who you are, you could be passionate about what you do, and you could be passionate about that thing when you share it with a potential customer. But passion doesn't always get a deal across the line. Passion in itself is a great seller, but it's not the only type of seller, depending on who you're dealing with as well. So knowing what type of entrepreneur you are is critical to the entrepreneurial journey that you're going to be going on, depending on what business that you may have. So when I meet people, sometimes I meet people that sit into this category. So let me know so far if you go, you know what, I am the natural talent in my business. I am the artist. I am the passion pursuer. I am the person of high standards. If that's you, you might be characterized as the talent type of entrepreneur. Self-awareness is critical on this journey. My second type of entrepreneur is what I call the thinker, right? So the thinker is characterized by a couple of things. Number one, the thinker is generally more of a risk taker. So you might be saying, look, I'm the sort of person that creates an idea and just kind of, writes it down and says, let's just go for this thing. Let's have a look let's think about what the consequences might be later. If you're more of a risk taker, you might be more of a thinker. The other things that characterizes you as a thinker type of entrepreneur is what I call an ideas man or woman. You're an ideas person, right? You come up with new ideas all the time. You write those down on napkins. You're saying, hey, this would be a great idea if we just do this. And you might have a book, just like I do, of 1,000 different ideas that you have that you want to launch. So that's critically important to understand about yourself. You might be a thinker entrepreneur type. Other things that are characterized by this is that you might be that person that people look at and say, you're the entrepreneur. You already come up with all these new ideas. Whereas a talent might have one idea of what they want to do. They want to pursue that literally till the day that they die. That's that one thing they want to do, they want to be able to dominate in. Whereas an entrepreneur type of the thinker creates a new idea before breakfast. And by the end of the day, they've created 3 new ideas. They're taking risks here and there. They're registering business names and web addresses and creating new products and making phone phone calls and connecting people, but they are always thinking about new things. Now, there's some pitfalls as well. This person is definitely an empire builder, by the way. So if they are someone that looks at things as an empire, not just a single business, but they are also what I call the, shiny new object person. So if that's you, if you get easily distracted when you come up with a whole bunch of ideas all the time, then you might be more of a thinker type of an entrepreneur, which is definitely where I sit, by the way. I'm someone that comes up with 1,000 ideas and I get easily distracted. So if this sounds a bit like your report card from when you were in grade 1, 2, 3, or even in high school, every report card I think I had, Connor, did yours have the same thing? Every report card said, Aaron is an incredible distraction to everybody else in the room. Aaron has great talent, but he needs to apply himself. I think it was like a copy paste. Did you have that same kind of thing?
They must still have the same.
Oh, I had the same shit, right? Aaron's great. He distracts everybody because that was me. I'm like, this is boring. Let me just, poke somebody in the ear or something. And that's exactly what I used to do. I used to cause trouble. But I was thinking of new things all the time. I was thinking about life outside of school. It definitely wasn't what school was these days. I went to one of my children, Alessandra. She's 4 in kindergarten. Next year she goes to prep, right? Or foundation, they call it now. And I went around the school the other day to check the school out. And I'm walking around this thing. They've got bean bags there. They've got couches. They're like the whole, you can just, I'm going to read a book, do whatever you want. There's like all these different stations. Now, when I went to school, you had to sit, you had to listen, and you had to learn. If you didn't like it, bad luck. You got hit by the teacher or yelled at by the teacher or something. So school these days definitely suits the thinker, right? Definitely suits the entrepreneur type as well. So that could be you, right? Are you the person that gets easily distracted? You're always looking at empires. You're the true entrepreneur. You come with ideas all the time. You're a risk taker. You could be the entrepreneur type that I call a thinker. Number 3, here's my third type of entrepreneur, and this person is what I call the task master. Are you a task master entrepreneur type? Now, this is what the task master is. They're a process person. So if you're listening right now, you're making all the notes of what you want to do. You're a process person. You're saying, what's the step-by-step that I need to go through to create this specific thing, right? You're a process person. You're a detail person. You're looking at the details of what you do. You're looking at the business and looking at the specifics of how you do things. You're looking at how I can improve the system or checking your website to make sure you're triple checking your website to make sure there's no spelling mistakes in your brochures, whereas the thinker is kind of just getting the website done and saying, let's go on to the next project. So the detail person is a task master entrepreneur type as well. They're also the person that loves systemization. So if you're a detail person, process, I love to systemize things and get those things down in order of what I'm going to be doing. You could be a task master entrepreneur type. And also that person's a multitasker. They're always working on multiple things at once, but they're very much looking at the logical aspects of what they're doing and how they can deliver on those key things. But these people are very important entrepreneur types as well. So far, you've seen some pretty polar opposites, right? You've got like a talent type entrepreneur, you've got a thinker type entrepreneur, and you've got a task master entrepreneur. So far, if you think you're one of those things, can you type it into the comments? Let me know if you think you're one of those things. If you think you're a taskmaster, if you think you're a thinker, or if you think it's talent. But you could be one of my last ones as well, which is going to be coming up now. So this person is a hustler, right? And by the way, with the multitasking juggler, these people are less risk adverse as well. So if you're not really big on risk, that could be you too. So number 4 is hustler, the hustler, right? This is the true hustler. These people are what I call, they say, what are work hours, right? What hours do you work? You say, well, I work 24/7. I work when everyone needs me, right? These are the people that say holidays are for losers, right? You ever meet these people? They don't really like holidays. They don't want to go on any holidays. They just want to work. These people are maxed out Facebook friends. So if you're the person on this, right, that's got 4,999 Facebook friends and you can't add anybody else, then maybe you could be a hustler as well, right? These people love to hustle and they definitely love to sell as well. These people are 24/7 focusing on hustling. Now, when we bring this all together, let's talk about why this is all incredibly important as an entrepreneur type. I've spoken to you about 4 key entrepreneur types, right? I've spoken to you about Number one, I've spoken to you about the hustler just now. I've spoken to you about the taskmaster. I've spoken to you about the thinker, and I've spoken to you about the talent. 4 distinct, very different entrepreneur types. Now, if you're sitting here watching this live, watching Aaron live right now, saying, okay, I'm the hustler, then what that tells you is that maybe you need to be attracting either a business partner, an investor, a team member, or somebody to help you grow your company or grow your empire that is one of the other entrepreneurial types to help fill that gap. I mean, you could be the talent that loves what you do, but you're struggling with sales, you're struggling with lead generation, and you need to go find a hustler that can either work in your business or take a share of your company. I'm a big believer if you're missing something in your business and you're trying to grow it, maybe looking at giving somebody an equity share in your business that might fill a gap that you don't already have, that could actually be one of these entrepreneur types that you're not. Now, when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, guess what I did? I was a thinker, right? And I used to go and get around more thinkers. I didn't find talents, I didn't find taskmasters, I didn't find hustlers, so I would surround myself with people that were just like me. Now, here's the problem. There's only so many times that you can go sit around a cafe with a notebook and pen, brainstorming all these amazing ideas to take over the world, as Pinky in there. Was it Pinky in the Brain? I think it was Pinky in the Brain. Take over the world, right? Pinky, we should get a Pinky in the Brain icon that jumps up somewhere. So that was me. We'd sit down and go, well, we're going to take over the world, right? We used to do that. But then the next day we'll do the same thing. And the next day we'll do the same thing. But no one was going out there and hustling. No one was going out there and making sure that people were actually hustling as a taskmaster. No one was going out there and actually being the talent and delivering on what we needed to do. We're just too busy creating notebooks of ideas that sat on the shelf sometimes and weren't being done. So I started off my business career surrounding myself with people that are just like me, which is a problem to begin with. So you have to think, who are you? And self-awareness is so critical on this business journey. You've got to know who you are, and it starts off with knowing what type of personality you are and what type of entrepreneur type you are as well. So if you've got any questions on this as well, by the way, put them on the comments, hashtag Aaron's advice, because at the end of this show today, at the end of Aaron Live, I'm going to be covering off with you, answering some of your questions as well and helping you guys to learn all about that as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. The Mentor Minute, there are 4 key personality types that you're going to be learning, and there's 4 key entrepreneurial types as well. So we're going to go to a very, very quick break, and when we're back, I'm going to be talking to you about what the fuck.
Today's about getting the things that you're missing in your business and in your life to change what you want.
Every time there's another takeaway, there's another pickup, and a hell of a lot of momentum.
I'm definitely glad I came. And
I'm feeling really pumped actually. I can't wait to get back to home and start, implementing some of the things I've learned today.
We're back. Come and hang out, AaronLIVE.com.au. I'd love to see you. I don't get to do it very often, so that's why I really love it. Like, I have 3-4 hours of just jam-packed info to help you be able to grow your business, to go from where you are to where you want to be. And that gap, I'll help you find what that gap actually is. then I'm going to be able to shoot that gap for you and give you the info that you need as well. So AaronLIVE.com.au, come and hang out, bring some friends that are in business, come and have a good night and hang out with us as well. We've made tickets dirt cheap, plus there's a VIP option as well to get a book signed by me, have a Q&A with me as well. So come and hang out with me. I love to see people's faces live right around Australia as well too. So cool, welcome back. We are here now with one of my little segments, right? My WTF segments, right? So let's talk about this month's What the Fuck. Also, my favorite graphic is Jackie Chan doing that face as well. And I always make Connor do it twice, but I'm not going to do it this time. I'm not going to make Connor...
Are you kidding me?
He's going to do it twice. if you've followed us in all of our episodes, all of our shows so far, you'll see we always play that twice because we love Jackie Chan jumping up on there. Okay, WTF. By the way, if you've got questions right now, share this. Let's get this, get this shared. Let's get a bunch of people watching this live with us now. We're going to get to this once a month, so let's share this now, get a bunch of people on this. And also, you've got any questions, whatever the questions may be, I'm going to have a couple of minutes at the end of the show today to be able to answer any of your business questions as well. This is the only opportunity that I get to do this once a month. So send me some questions in. Also, studio@aaronsantonio.com. We've got a bunch of people that are emailing in that as well. If you've got the questions as well. So you can put it on these comments, or you can email it into studio@aaronsantonio.com, hashtag Aaron's advice. All right, so WTF, right? Who gets my what the fuck? Well, this month goes to an amazing cleaning company, which you might have heard on before, the White King Cleaning Wipes. White King Cleaning Wipes. Now, why do they get my WTF? They were recently ordered to pay $700,000 after the federal court found that they were misleading representation of their White King wipes. What did they say? They said, simply wipe over hard surfaces of the toilet and just flush away, was printed on the promotional material, which said that you get to wipe all the surfaces, flush it away down the toilet, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. Sounds good. Like, that sounds like a good idea. No one wants to play with their toilet. They'll wipe things down, flush it away. Only problem is this. The company said that the White King toilet wipes are made of a specifically designed material which would disintegrate in the sewage system when flushed. Australian Water Authorities thought differently. They said these White King wipes can't be flushed down the toilet and that they will cause significant problems in blockages to households and their sewage systems. $700,000. So here's what I'm going to say. They get my WTF because if you're going to have one major thing as your advertising piece that you lead with to say, hey guys, it's so easy, wipe the surface down, flush it and it's done, maybe check that it's actually going to do what you say it's going to do. And based on what the court have said, they've ruled that it's not actually going to do what it's supposed to do. So that gets my WTF. If you're going to market something, maybe make sure it can do exactly what you say it's going to do before you make that your number one selling point in what you do.
That was very upsetting.
Very upsetting.
Very upsetting to me. That's the first time that a company has been accused of something like that. It's actually affected me. It's actually been a product that I've used that way. Like, I've flushed a dozen of those wipes.
You can't flush them now. What are you going to do? You have to go back to scrubbing or the plunges or the whatever you do. You got to.
I feel like what have I done? Like,
what have you done?
I've been hurting Mother Earth this whole time.
I'm going to go on the record to say Connor has killed at least 7 to 8 dolphins from his flushing of these wipes down the sewage.
I thought you were going to stop it. I thought you were going to qualify that with the flushing of the wipes.
Flushing of the wipes. At least 7 to 8 dolphins as well have been harmed in the process of this as well. So that gets my WTF. But on the other side of my WTF comes the next thing I love to talk to you guys about, which is my hashtag love it. So what this month gets my love it. Well, listen, I love this part because it's been such an important hot topic in the last 5, 6, 7 years. I've been speaking about this for many, many, many years about the rise of female entrepreneurship and also the rise of females within the workplace and within bigger roles within a lot of our corporates. And get this, more women have been appointed in the top ASX 200 companies. More women have been appointed in the top ASX 200 companies during the first quarter of 2018 than in any other time in history. This is historic because for the first time, we're seeing top companies make that focus, not even just a focus on saying we want to employ more females, but more females putting themselves forward for these roles and seeing that change, because that was significantly lower around the 20 to 30% mark of recent times. And now seeing that the females are putting themselves more forward for these roles, and companies are looking for the best person for these roles and accepting this. I love that we're at a 50% ratio right now. I don't believe that we have to aim to have a certain amount of men or a certain amount of women in the company. I believe the best person for the job, and in many of my companies, the ratio is 60, 70, 80% females to males, because it might be the best person for the job. And I love that we're seeing this rise, and also love that people are putting themselves forward. And again, if you look at statistics, that a lot of females weren't putting themselves forward for promotions and jobs over some of the male counterparts. And to see that we're seeing that women are stepping up in entrepreneurship and they're stepping up within the corporate world to say, I'm going to put myself forward and getting selected, I think is amazing. And for the first time in history, we're at a 50% increase of females joining ASX 200 companies in the first quarter, which I think is an amazing thing to see. Entrepreneurship and also within the business world as well, I think is an incredible thing to see. So that definitely gets my love it as well. So awesome to see that. I love to see the rise in that as well. So that's going to get my love it easily.
Women's Day recently.
Yeah, recently, International Women's Day.
Good.
Awesome time as well. International Women's Day. I always celebrate that. I always bring my wife flowers, and my Alessandra, my 4-year-old, she gets some flowers as well. All the females that work in our offices as well get those. So I do it because I think it's important to celebrate International Women's Day as well. So awesome to see female entrepreneurs, but awesome to see people that take the corporate path as well, saying they're going to be able to. We're seeing that there's the equality happening as well. So love to see that, and that definitely gets my love it for this month's Aaron Live as well. So next up, we get to my top 10. Let's do it, Connor. Top 10. All right, so every single month, we try and find a different, but by the way, if you've got an idea for a segment, if you've got an idea for a what the fuck, I love it, or something that's happened in the business news you think I should speak about, or a top 10, please email that in. That goes directly to my creative team of my 3 storytelling geniuses. So send it through to studio@aaronsansoni.com. That's going to go through to my creative team, which are in the room at the moment. They love to get your ideas and suggestions as well. So top 10. This month's top 10 has been reserved for the biggest failures from the biggest companies. Biggest failures from the business, biggest companies as well. Who would like to hear the biggest failures from the business, biggest companies as well? And by the way, if you've got any questions you want to ask straight after this, not far after this, it's literally just after our top 10, I'm going to be doing some live questions right here while we're live. So if you've got any questions, email those in to studio@aaronsansoni.com, or put those in the comments below with the hashtag Aaron's advice in there, so we know what comments are that we can respond to as well. Awesome. Okay. Top 10 biggest failure from the biggest companies. Number 10. This one, the Sony Betamax. Sony Betamax. Some of you are looking at that saying, what kind of contraption is that? Some of you are looking at that saying, I remember when I had the Sony Betamax. So the Sony Betamax, for those of you that don't know, the Sony Betamax was like a VHS. Some of you know what a VHS is. A VHS way back in the dinosaur days. So they had these cassette tapes that you'd put into your play movie. There was a smaller version of that they had, which was a media player, which is like a tape player, basically, which is called the Betamax. So in 1975, actually it was in the 70s, Sony saw the war between the Betamax and the VHS, and so Sony made the mistake by starting to sell the Betamax in 75, while the rivals were selling the VHS machine. Now, Sony kept pushing the Betamax over top of the VHS, and the Betamax was actually more superior in terms of its technical superiority, in terms of its quality. But VHS simply won because people just picked it up more and said that, you know what, they saw this as an opportunity to have more versatility within their homes. It was able to play more videos or more movies, more videos back then than what the Betamax was able to play. And so there was a major failure. They had to pull the thing from the shelves. They were going up against VHS as opposed to saying, okay, this product is failing, let's pull it out. So Sony back in 1975, even though a huge, massive success these days, had a massive failure by pushing the Betamax. And that's the reason why we didn't have a Betamax growing up, we had a VHS. Now, some of you might remember when it used to get stuck. You remember it used to get stuck? Yes. You used to get stuck in there and you had to put your hand in there.
Yeah.
You had to put your hand in there trying to pull it out, or had to actually pull it apart? Or you had to rewind. Do you remember that if you got a fine, if you didn't rewind your VHS before you took it back to Blockbuster, before Blockbuster obviously exploded and no longer exists? Does anyone remember that? Let me know if you remember Video Easy. Let me know if you're that old, you remember Video Easy. And you used to have to rewind it back, and they used to get so pissed. Now, do you remember the slot? You had to put it in to be able to return the VHS tape. And if you didn't rewind it, you used to run in and just throw it in the counter and just sprint off like, that wasn't me, I didn't do anything, it wasn't me. You used to do it all the time. You used to get in trouble when you went in the next time, like a library.
So they have it on your account.
They have it on your account. It's what, okay, excuse me, can you do us a favor and just rewind all of your Superman 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when you return them? Sony Betamax gets my number 10. Number 9. 1985, one of the biggest failures was New Coke. That's right. New Coke. Coke relaunched something, and they did a massive blind test to try and relaunch this thing. They relaunched this thing. All of the testing said it was going to be perfect. It's going to be able to kick their butts because they were losing out at the time in the 80s to the Pepsi Challenge. So some of you remember in the 80s and 90s the Pepsi Challenge. Remember the Pepsi Challenge where they used to have the blind challenge? They used to have the Coke and the Pepsi, and it was covered, and they used to have to drink it and then say, what do you think? Drink it. What do you think with the cup? And then inside the cylinder was Coke or Pepsi. And with that blind challenge that they did, absolutely destroyed Coke for a period of time, and Pepsi ramped it up. So they launched the New Coke. The problem was everyone said the New Coke, which would taste more like Pepsi, was a hit. The problem was that New Coke didn't do very well, and it was actually only launched for a few weeks, and then they spent huge sums of money launching the New Coke to be closer to the formula of Pepsi. Massive flop, and everyone turned back to Coke, and they relaunched the Coke as Coke Classic. So what's the learning point from that? Stick to what you do it well, do it better, and don't try and be like other people. Coke learnt, and Coke is still here today. New Coke. I would have liked to try it at least. Would you try it? I don't drink soft drink, but I don't know. New Coke, failure. Number 8. Pepsi switching to its competitor in number 8. This was about the 89 to sort of 92. This is back there. This disgusts me. I am actually disgusted by this.
Well, soda related.
Pepsi, what's up with that, right? Pepsi AM. Pepsi AM. Why is it called Pepsi AM? Because Pepsi, in the late 80s, early 90s, this is how ridiculous this is. They tried to target people to drink soft drink at breakfast. At breakfast.
I think it was more a case that they had so many people that already drank their product.
So they went, you're going to drink at lunchtime and after, let's try and get the breakfast crowd. So they did breakfast cola. Can you believe this? As if there wasn't enough of a obese fucking problem in the world. We need to do breakfast fucking cola. So they did this. In 92, they did this test, right, against it. In 89, they did it. It didn't work. People didn't buy it. Good. Because they would have died. So then they tried to do it again in 92. And this time it was a clear cola called Crystal. Crystal Pepsi. Also didn't work. And they tried to do it again for a third time?
Yes, they tried to relaunch. So Crystal Pepsi wasn't specifically morning drinker.
That was just like any time.
Like, hey, look.
So hold on, if it's clear. So why do people just drink Sprite?
Well, because
which is clear.
You want to drink Sprite, but you want the taste of Pepsi. And so
people already drink. See, the only time that would have worked is if people drank Sprite for breakfast, and then they said we're going to make something that's going to rival Sprite.
But the reason they tried to bring it back in 2016 is because there was overwhelming support for it because of a guy on YouTube who drank like a 20-year-old bottle of Crystal Pepsi and vomited everywhere on camera.
Oh my God. Pepsi, you've got so much money. Focus on what you're good at. Expand into new markets where you're not going to kill the population of people. And also, I don't really think there's a market for Pepsi AM. And if there is, do you want that market? Do you want that market? That's the question I have for you today. That's the question I have for you today. Do you want that market, Pepsi? Do you want that market? I don't think you do. Okay? That's my market. So you get my number 8. Can you imagine the few that we're getting down to? Number 7, R.J. Reynolds, smokeless cigarettes. This could have been a good idea had it not been for the timing. 1980. RJ, massive company, spent $325 million creating this. So that's like $4 trillion. No, it's probably like $1 billion these days. $1 billion to create the new smokeless cigarettes. It didn't work, and people weren't buying them. In 4 months of launching, they pulled them from the shelves. I don't know why they didn't work. Smokeless cigarettes. I mean, it just like you've got the e-cigarettes now. You've got the what's the thing? The vapor. Didn't work. Maybe it was too early for the market.
I think it's because
didn't work.
You take out the smoke and I don't smoke cigarettes, but I feel like you take away the smoke and you're taking away the most superficially cool aspect of smoking. It was not
because you can blow the rings. Because you can blow the rings.
Yeah, you can do tricks with it. You look cool.
I know.
All the kids doing it.
I don't know. Quit smoking, kids. But they spent $1 billion back then to create this, and in 4 weeks it was gone. Cool. $325 million a week on launch for a new product. Bad failure. GAT gets my number 7. My number 6. Some of you will remember this because I certainly do these. The Apple Newton. Who remembers that? I had a PDA. I was very excited about my PDA. So the Apple Newton was one of, it wasn't the first because Apple wasn't the first at this. They created the PDA version, which was $700, 8 inches tall, 4.5 inches wide. And the major reason why they failed was because the handwriting technology that they had with a little stylus, it was called a stylus, wasn't it? I remember the name. It's called a stylus where you could write on there. It was so bad at recognizing your handwriting. They made fun of it in The Simpsons. There was a Simpsons episode that they made fun of it. They made so much fun of this thing that they had to can it. And so eventually turned back to, obviously that thing went under. And eventually Apple created a little thing called the iPad. That seemed to do the trick. And that did very well. But they failed in the 93 with the Apple Newton because the major feature, big screen, stylus, write what you want, didn't work. Interesting. Don't do it. I think if you honest, well, no, The Simpsons also predicts the future too. We know that, right? If you look up The Simpsons, you've got to look up what The Simpsons have predicted. Everything from Trump getting in. There you go. Trump's getting mentioned twice on my show. I tell you, he knows his shit. So, Apple Newton. Ba-bam. That gets my number 6. Number 5, Nintendo's Virtual Boy. Virtual Boy. Which was launched in 95 as virtual reality. The problem with virtual reality launch back then, as you could probably guess, that TV wasn't that great. Video games weren't that great. So let me just be clear. If video games are terrible when you look at them and you're playing them, putting on a device to go in virtual reality, how is that looking like I am in virtual reality?
No, it was more like virtual reality assaulting your eyeball.
It was terrible, right? So it was terrible. They had it was like black and red and low resolution. The thing didn't work. It ended up selling 1 million units, which really for Nintendo was nothing around the world. It's actually the biggest hardware flop in Nintendo's history. And bearing in mind, Nintendo goes back to the 1800s.
That
big flop.
when I found that out.
Yeah, 1800s, right? These guys have been making it. So the biggest flop is just too early. The market was too early. Again, a good idea, like maybe the e-cigarette idea from the RJ Reynolds, but it was just too early. Massive flop, spent hundreds of millions to do that, and only 1 million of those sold. So if you have a Nintendo Virtual Boy and you don't want it, send it in. And maybe on the next episode, I'm going to use it live and tell you that I feel like I'm, with the game I'm feeling like I'm Pac-Man's attacking me or something. I don't know what it was. So that gets my number 5. Number 4. This is a good one. The McDonald's came up with the Arch Deluxe. So 1996, they introduced the Arch Deluxe. They spent over 100 million US, almost 200 million Australian, to market the most expensive burger. And it was a massive flop for them. They try to create this. A lot of companies later on came up with, these different burgers that would be the more deluxe ones, but they try to create a really expensive burger. Now, my thought on this is that if you've got people, how the burger was like, they said it was like double the price or something like that, right? It was like $15 or something like that for the burger. What it would be now. Who goes to McDonald's and said, how much are burgers? Like a Big Mac. How much is a Big Mac?
Like a Big Mac now, probably like $6.
$6. Who goes and says, I want a $6? No, I'm going to get upsold to the $15 McDonald's burger. I don't know. Wrong market segment. You want an expensive burger, you need to go to Grilled here in Australia, and there's 1,000 great burger places right around the world as well. But wrong market. Do what you do well. You make the most amount of money you can, from Big Macs and cheeseburgers, not from salads, even though they market salads these. Most amount of money is made from that, but it was just too early. But the Arch Deluxe, over $200 million in producing this thing, and this was one of their most expensive flops, trying to target the urban sophisticates that are going to McDonald's. Interesting market. Why don't you ask 20 people walk into a McDonald's store whether they would spend almost $20 on a burger regularly, not as a gimmick, regularly, then you've got a new market.
Anybody who goes into McDonald's, whether or not they describe themselves as urban.
Are you describe yourself as an urban sophisticated? Anyone? I don't know if I'll describe myself as an urban sophisticated person either. Thank you very much. So that gets my number 4. Number 3 goes to the HD DVD. So Toshiba was behind a lot of this stuff right back in these days, and it was like you remember the big fight was like there was DVDs which used to be something you put into a cassette. Some of you guys still have this thing, right? So we went from Betamax to VHS to DVD, and there was some other weird contraptions in between. And that was the fight between DVD, HD, and then Blu-ray. Toshiba was behind this, launched in 2006. Sony went out with their Blu-ray, and that was back to 2008 is when they launched it. I think 2006, 2008. They launched it. But the reason why that they buried it, A, it was marketed better, but B, Sony did a really smart thing because Sony allowed you to play those DVDs, right, and the Blu-ray in their console, right, inside their Nintendo console, their the PS3 console, right, not Nintendo, the PS3 console, and so doesn't matter how much money they poured down, they lost out. Toshiba spent millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to try and take down Sony's Blu-ray. Sony kicked butt because they had more consoles that are out there, and that was a massive flop, cost them a hell of a lot of money. They get my number 3. Number 2, second biggest failure of the biggest companies in the world. This one was such a big failure that I will raise my hand right now and tell you, I have never heard of this particular thing, which I should have, given the size of this company. Facebook launched in 2013 what was called Facebook Home. Facebook Home tried to become a home screen for your phone. In less than a month of being released, a 2-year subscription plan dropped from $99 to 99 cents. From $99 to 99 cents. That is a 99% reduction within less than a few weeks. Now, what a bargain, right? Still, it only worked for people that literally were like obsessed with Facebook 24/7. And so Facebook got rid of it. They said they disbanded all their engineers that created it, because obviously it was the engineer's fault, not the person that came up, not the thinker entrepreneur that came up with it. It's like, you engineers, you created it wrong, right? Because they don't come up with the stuff, right? They're programming the stuff. So they got rid of this thing. Now here's what I understand, right? Here's what I understand, Connor and Luan. I don't understand that if you're going to create something to make people use your product more, and the more they use that product, the more revenue you make, and the more you can show your investors that people are using screen time of Facebook. The whole idea is to make their home page being Facebook through an app, correct? So, yeah. Why would you charge people at all
I don't know.
a monetary figure to make their home screen on their phone Facebook? I would make it free, like every other app is that they have, free, so that they're going to interact more. Thus, us as marketers on Facebook have more opportunity to be able to market to them, and they can go to their investors and say, our face time of people on Facebook has risen 3% in the last quarter, give us more money. Why they charged in the first place, I don't know, but I reckon that's probably the reason they really had that flop. They should have launched that for free. In fact, they should have incentivized people to be able to have that on their home screen. It's like, imagine if Google launched saying it's going to cost you a couple of bucks to have us on your homepage versus an Alta Vista or Ask Jeeves or all these fun places as well. Doesn't make sense to me. So they flopped, didn't work. Facebook Home, never heard of it till I started to research the top 10. Number 1, who gets my number 1? Imagine if while holding this or sleeping next to this, a phone, imagine if this thing just at any random time could spontaneously combust in your hand or on your face. And that is what could allegedly happen for a Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Samsung, in 2016, one of their biggest flagship phones, the Note 7, had a little problem where it caught fire occasionally and exploded. This was a bit of a problem because this was cars that burnt down and people that had hurt themselves and houses that have had like half the room burnt down. So the phone has been outright banned on flights, and Samsung had to recall the entire line of phones for spontaneous combustion. I would have said that people that like to live on the edge, at any point,
Thrill seekers.
for the thrill seekers out there, we've created 1 in 1,000 that could combust in your ear. So I don't know, that might have been their marketing point, but they get my number 1 biggest failures of my top 10 list goes to the amazing people at Samsung for that massive recall that's cost them as well. That's my top 10. Top 10 list. Well done, guys. I love that top 10. And now it's time for us to talk about my advice. So let's head on over to the part that we like to call Aaron's advice. All right, so hit me up. Studio at AaronSansoni.com. I can already see a bunch of emails that have come through from the team that I can see it down on the screen there, which my team are going to have to read to me, plus a bunch of comments as well that have come through. So thank you so much for your feedback. And guys, make sure you share this thing now and make sure you hang out with us at AaronLIVE.com.au if you want to come and see me live right around Australia. I'm going to share with you what I've done and hopefully that can help you guys to kick some butt in your own life as well. So let's kick to some of the questions that come through on the email.
So we've got some questions. Yes, studio at AaronSansoni.com. Ryan's been getting some questions for us on that. So let's have a look. So in relation to your earlier...
It's Fiji, guys.
Yeah,
it's not tea or coffee. It's Fiji.
In relation... I thought he was drinking coffee.
You thought I was drinking coffee.
In relation to your...
Can I get...
minutes,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, sorry.
I want to make my own mug.
Okay, sweet. I identify with traits from multiple entrepreneurs types, not exactly one. What's your opinion? Can that work? Or should I focus on honing?
Every question I answer today is going to get the official AaronLIVE mug, which has been handcrafted by the artists in the hills of Italy. AaronLIVE mug. So if you want an AaronLIVE mug, let us know. You provide the mug, we'll provide the post-it. So, question. If you associate to multiple entrepreneur types, I totally understand what you're saying. What you will, however, sit within one major entrepreneurial type. You'll sit within one major entrepreneurial type. You know, you do find that you might have some characteristics that cross over from different entrepreneurial types, but you'll have one kind of major entrepreneurial type that you're going to be sitting in as well. So I would say that find the one that you sit in mostly. Like, I know that for me, in some of my companies, I can be more of the artist. I'm a juggler, but I also know that in most of those things, I'm a thinker. But I also know that I can be a hustler. So where do you sit mostly? And if you're blessed to have multiple skills across those things, great. But also that might mean that you try to take on everything, as opposed to get some other people to be able to help you as well. So my thing would be saying, where are the biggest thing about learning what entrepreneur type you are is to learn where the gaps are. Because if you're not really great at this thing called selling, or great at this thing called, high standards, or great at this thing called taking risks, you've got to find where you can grow as an entrepreneur in those things. Because the reality is, those 4 things combined would make a pretty amazing group of directors in a company or group of partners in a company. That's kind of what I'm aiming at by understanding who you are, to know who you can bring in as well as a mentor or someone to be able to help you. But good question. Next,
Next up, so we've got another question by the emails. So this person says, what's the first thing I can do immediately to start building my personal brand? I want to get started with it, but I'm not sure what the first step should be.
Yeah, great. I actually think in one of the AaronLIVEs, maybe it was the first, maybe it was the second AaronLIVE, we talk about what I call the ART of your own branding. So one of the first things you can, and also, by the way, if you've got my book, Think Like, in this book, I think it's in the last, actually I know it's in the last chapter, in my secret chapter, so I know a bunch of you might even have this. I actually go into detail about how you can grow your personal brand, and it's on page 278 in the Think Like book. You can grab that at buythinklike.com, by the way, and you can grab that. And I talk about that in there, the ART. So really, getting yourself some kind of presence, like having a website, getting a bunch of testimonials from people that really respect and love what you do, starting to give you perspective, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a video, whether it's a audio or like a podcast or something, starting to share some of your perspective. I think you could start with that. So getting your own website up, writing a little bit about your story, starting to communicate with people about what you care about and sharing your perspective. Creating your social medias that you need as well, and start to build a tribe of people that maybe give a shit about what you give a shit about. You know what I mean? You'll find there's millions of people in the world that care about one little tiny thing that maybe you and I could not give a shit about, but they love that thing. So you've got to find what that thing is for you that they care about. Like, I love the world of business. I love the world of business. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you an hour about how you can buy investment properties. I have lots of investment properties. I'm not going to speak about that because that's not the thing that I love. So people that love to learn about investment and property wouldn't hang out with me. People that love business would come and hang out with me. So I share my perspectives on business and about living a life by design, personally and professionally. So that's where I build my tribe of people that get to hang out, just like you get to hang out with me. So want to build your brand, work out what you stand for, create your website, model some of the people that are doing really well, get the about section going, and then share your perspective on as many different mediums as you can about what you hold true to yourself. That's the best way to start growing your own personal brand. Cool.
All right, and last one we've got is this person says they struggle with motivation and stuff or burning out. What would you recommend to do during downtime to recharge and not burn out and not struggle?
Yes, so I would say, first of all, I would say you've got to find the things that charge you. Critical factor, what charges you up? So you might, back in the day, you used to be a great football player, and you haven't gone and kicked a football in 15 years. Well, go get a football, go kick it to your mate, go do things that are going to switch your mind off and get you focused. You might have been a great drawer in school. Go and draw if that's what's going to switch you off. Or, you might be someone that needs to go away for a holiday or so, every now and again. So for me, I like to find things that are going to switch my brain off. And that's a hard thing to do when you're running, a lot of companies and thinking of a lot of things. So I might watch a movie with my wife, or I might, I'm a big fan of getting, putting my phone away and putting, work and things away and focusing on, things that are outside that, having, dinner with some friends and focusing on them and asking them questions as opposed to just sharing what I'm up to. I think finding things that recharge are important, but also I think that getting yourself into a routine, because I think that motivation comes from energy, and energy is a muscle, and that comes from how you work out, what you eat, whether you're exercising in the morning, whether you're meditating. I'm a big believer of meditating in the morning. I'm a big believer of exercising in the morning. I do a juice cleanse every now and again, which I'm doing right now, 8 juices in one day. I'm day 4. I'm a master juice cleanser at the moment. So let me know if you guys have juiced. #MasterJuice. So juice, do you do that? How do you eat? How do you look after yourself? You're a vessel, you're a car. If you want to drive from here to there, well then what fuel's going in you? How are you being serviced? How are you being looked after? How are you being, all those things come into you as a person. And I think the more you see yourself as like a separate entity and how you look after that entity to do what you need to do in your life, the more you're going to find more energy. So how you look after yourself, what do you eat, are you meditating, are you exercising? Listen, you listen to the best people in the world, the most successful people, from the 21 people I wrote about in my book to the people that Tim Ferriss just talked about in his Tribe of Mentors book, to everyone that you see that talks about the most successful people. What do they have in common? They take care of themselves, they exercise, they meditate. So if you want to learn some of the key critical factors for someone that's been successful, you need to do those things to help you reach it, help you to be able to get into a great space so that you love work. You don't go, oh my gosh, it's too much. Like, I love what I get to do, so I don't get tired because of my work. I get tired because I literally put in a huge amount of hours, or I'm on a plane from here to there, and I've not slept for 36 hours, and I've been in front of a ton of people, or I've been in front of a ton of investors, or team members or directors in my businesses. But you've got to know what charges you up the most and what that's going to mean for you. And also meaning, I'm a big believer in meaning. Like, what does it mean for you to be successful? Like watching this Aaron Live right now, like you're taking in information, like I shared with you guys about my mentor, about the things you can do to be able to change your life through knowing your entrepreneur type. Well, what are you going to do with the information? Have you created enough meaning with that information to go out there and charge up your life and do the things you need to do to live by design, as opposed to just giving things a go every single day? So if you can create meaning in your life, you're going to get more energy from that. And if you can look after yourself on a daily basis, you're going to get more energy from that. And if you can find the things that just get your mind to be able to switch off for a moment, which is meditation is one of those things, which is why I've said to you to do that, then you can find some things that charge you up. What are the things that just make you have that break, mental and physical break, and also looking after yourself? I think physically, I think mental fitness, and I think physical fitness are incredibly important things in somebody's life as well. So that's the advice I'd give you when it comes to looking after yourself and also just keeping yourself in that state to be able to perform every single day, day in, day out. You can't afford to be great on Mondays and then shit on Tuesdays and terrible on Wednesdays and great on Thursdays. You need to be on 365, whether it's for your businesses, whether it's for your family. You get home after a big day, bad luck. You need to be on form. You wake up too early than me. My daughter came to me the other day, 2 days ago, and it was like an hour before she normally wakes up. And she comes to me and she wakes me up. She goes, Dad, she goes, it's too early. She goes, I know it's before wake up time, Dad, but can you come play doll houses with me because you play doll houses so well? Now I get up at 5:30 to run. So this is like 4:30. So I'm like, let's get up, let's do doll houses. So at 4:30 in the morning, I'm playing doll houses. Do I necessarily want to play doll houses at 4:30 in the morning? No, but I'm there because my daughter wants to do it. I'm being present, I'm playing full out. And that's the thing for me, is making the most of every moment that you can, and making yourself in a great shape, in a great form, so that you can be at your best for your family and your children and your friends, not just for someone that's paying you money. You've got to be at the best for everybody in your life as well, which I think is really important. So that's my advice on getting yourself in form and focus. That make sense? Cool? Love it. So guys, I have loved hanging out with you here at Aaron Live. We do it once a month. And you know what? If you want to see me in person, I'd love to hang out with you on tour. So go to AaronLIVE.com.au. We're doing 4 major cities. Every time we do this, it's always a sellout, especially because we're doing a really great early bird right now, 2-for-1 tickets. Go grab them. $19 for 2 people or $97 for the VIP for 2 people. Come and grab a friend that's in business. Come and hang out for 3 hours where I get to share with you a ton of things that are working in the 21st century. I might even get a bunch of my students to be able to come along and share some of the things that they're doing as well. So it's a big opportunity for us to be able to share what's working in the business world right now and how you can get some quick wins, whether you need to get more leads, more sales, better branding. We want to learn how to exit your business. We want to learn how to be able to grow an empire of businesses, which is what I've become really known for. Go to AaronLIVE.com.au now, grab some tickets, come and hang out with me for an evening with Aaron, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a chance to do this again this year. So come and hang out with me in Perth, in Melbourne, in Brisbane, and in Sydney as well for an evening. 3 amazing hours of jam-packed information to be able to increase your income, your impact, and your influence as well. So come and hang out with me. So guys, I've loved hanging out with you right now at Aaron Live, this show, and I can't wait to see you guys kicking some butt. So please make sure you guys are sharing with me in the comments what you've implemented, what you've done. Make sure you're sharing this this hour or so with me that we've got, so we can share this around with people that need to see and hear this message as well. And my big goal for you out of this show is that you learn to live by design and not live by default. So I hope you guys loved Aaron Live, and until next month, remember something: until you implement it, it doesn't actually happen. So go implement what I've just taught you, go kick some butt, and remember, live by design, not by default. See you at the next show.